Good afternoon. Good afternoon. It is Sunday, May 25th, 2025. This is KWBE. Ed Steve, your host. I have a special guest today that you've seen her before. You know all about her. You're going to learn a little bit more today as we end our celebration of Mother's Day today, as it is the end of this Mother's Day month. We're happy to feature co-host of KWBE and lovely young lady, my very own daughter, Nai Latte. Her name is Nyla B. Harris, but we call her Nai Latte, and we want to bring her on to talk about Mother's Day, and I assure you she has a special story to tell, and I know that because I'm part of her story. All right, so let's welcome Nai Latte. Hey, Nai, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. I'm excited about today.
Excellent, excellent. Man, we got so much to talk about, but I just want to start out by asking you, because I know not only are you a daughter and you face some challenges early in your life, all your life, but early, particularly because of the loss prematurely of your mom. I want to ask you about, before we get into all of that, since you're a mother of three lovely girls, my granddaughters, I might say. And I always tease people when I say, oh, don't they look like me, but with hair? And then before people get the answer, I say, don't answer that. Because they look much better than me. I wish I looked as good as them. They're beautiful young ladies. And but how do you manage? Because I know you got a career. And you're not a baby anymore. You're still young, but not very young. And how do you manage all of that? And what does Mother's Day mean to you? I want to ask you. Go ahead.
Okay. So which one should I start with? I'll start with what does Mother's Day mean to me? I'll go backwards a little bit.
Okay.
So Mother's Day for me, honestly, I think we should celebrate it more. I don't think we
I
deserve a
agree.
day. I think we deserve many, many, many days. Um, at Mother's Day for me is the acknowledgement that we're doing a great job. So for moms that are out
Wow.
there and you feel like you're not doing well, just like me, you might have to just tell yourself, no, you're doing well. We're surviving. Everyone's fed, everyone's clothed, everyone's happy. Not all the time because we can't be happy all the time, but everyone's
Never.
happy, everyone's in good spirits. No one's suffering. And if you are dealing with some type of suffering, like there are people that have children that are going through some type of terminal illness or going through just being sick, that's difficult for a mom because we carry these babies in our wombs and we get to protect them in the womb, but then they come out in the world and it's like now we contend with the world.
Right.
So we have to continuously tell ourselves, you're not doing a bad job. Okay, they didn't listen. Okay, they could be a little rebellious. You're not doing a bad job. Stay in prayer. Keep giving them to God every day. Trust in God. Pray for their protection. Pray for that God will put a fortress and lots of angels around them every single day.
Amen.
And with what you can control, like the serenity prayer, you control what you can control. And that's what I'm learning. And that's how I recognize mom as me, as Mother's Day, excuse me, as me just learning how to appreciate having children for one, and then just recognizing that I'm not doing a bad job. I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing okay.
Excellent. I like
Yeah,
that. That's like positive confirmation that uh, should not be taken lightly, so
at
particularly
all.
by moms, you know,
Yes.
because I know I took my mother through a lot, and as most of our viewers know, she didn't birth me in this world, but she was the only mother I knew, and far more mother than I deserved.
Mm.
But I love her dearly. She died on Mother's Day in 1989, and I wish I could have said more, embraced her more, loved her more, and I did love her, but not enough. She was fabulous.
Understand.
So I believe, yeah, moms, I hope you take that to heart. What my daughter was saying regarding, giving yourself some positive affirmation, reinforcement. Hey, I'm doing okay. So I love that app. I
Thank
call her
you.
app. Y'all
Yes.
can call her that.
He calls me Apple, and then the nickname for Apple is App. So I tell people, if you never have met us and you hear us out in the street or talking about something, you're not going to know my name is Naila. You're going to think it's Apple or App.
Right.
Tell people that all
That's
the
the truth.
time.
Well, tell them what you call me.
I call him Noomsy. If you don't know, I'm going to tell you to go watch The Golden Child and you will learn why I call him Noomsy.
Right.
Just think Eddie Murphy, The Golden Child, fast forward to that part and you'll understand.
Awesome.
But it's my term of
Well,
endearment.
that's right. And it's taken as such. Uh, well, let's go to your own childhood, because I know, your mom, my first wife, um, passed away when you were 6 years old. Let's
Yes.
go into that a little bit, at the risk of causing some discomfort. It always causes me a little discomfort, but I'll get up
Yes.
through that. Let's talk
Yeah.
about that now. Your subsequent upbringing and some of the challenges you face as a
Yes.
result.
Yes, absolutely. So I was only 6. I think maybe I was 5 when you guys found out that she had, what, 2 months to live?
Yeah, thereabouts. Yep, yep.
And I didn't know anything about it. Of course, I'm 5. My brother was what, 2 or 3 years old,
Yeah, he
probably
was 3.
2.
Yeah.
3. Okay.
And by
And
now, let me interject real quick.
yes,
And now today, you guys are 41 and 45 respectively.
yes, which is crazy. Oh my
Yes.
gosh. Um, so the I'm gonna try to make this story very short, but I didn't know. Of course, we didn't know as young children that she had cancer, but I did start to see her wearing wigs, and I do remember when she was balding and wearing wigs because
Right.
of the what do you call it, chemo. Um, and then over time, we couldn't really tell because she seemed to be fine. I think it was when she finally had to go to the hospital that we knew something, or I knew something may have been wrong, but I didn't really, I mean, I was only 5 or 6 years old at that point. So I didn't acknowledge it as this terrible thing until the night she had a stroke. So that actually happened before she was in the hospital. She had a stroke. Dad was working midnights, and my brother and I were at home with my mom. My brother used to always wake me up out of nowhere, and I'm like, "Would you leave me alone?" Like he would always do that. I don't know why,
Right.
but he tried to wake me up to respond to our mom at the time, who again was having a stroke, and I didn't realize what was happening. So the only thing I knew to say was, Akita, leave me alone. I'm trying to sleep. Now, mind you, I'm 5 or 6 years old, but I'm like, leave me alone. And he
Right.
said, something's wrong with mom. And that triggered me to jump up. So I got up, I went into the room. I'm seeing my mom at now, again, 5 years old, having this stroke. It was, of course, heartbreaking, but all I knew to do was to go into action. And the only number I knew was 399-8041. That
Wow, you
was
still remember that
still
number?
to this day, yes.
Wow.
To this day, that was my best friend at the time, Jarnell Whitlock. She was a guest on your show before, and I had an
Yes.
opportunity to interview her about her book,
Right,
The
right.
Void. But anyway, um, I called her parents and told them something's wrong with mommy. And so they called the ambulance and then they came over, but it was so dark between the top of the steps. I'll never forget it like it's happening right now. From the top of the steps to the door, when they rang the doorbell, I was shook. I'm like, I'm not going down there. But my mom is meanwhile still having this stroke. So finally, they're like, come downstairs. So I run downstairs, open the door, and then you get like a million people over time coming over, and that's what I remembered. I remember that people kept saying, you saved your mom, and I said, no, my brother did. So to this day, I always felt like Akita saved her for that time. But then eventually she stayed in the hospital for a while, and dad had to give us the bad news because everyone was kind of congregating at our grandparents' house, and I'm like, why is everybody here? and Dad took my brother and me in the room, and he had to tell us, your mom is dead. And we hugged each other and cried, embraced, cried in the whole 9 yards. I will never, ever forget that
It
entire
amazes me that
experience.
you remember that.
Yes, I remember everything. And the crazy part is, I suppressed a lot of that because you've even said to me that at the funeral I didn't cry. I just picked up a rose that someone dropped and put it on her chest.
And you kissed her.
And I kissed her, yes, which as an adult I would never do
Nor would I.
that. Never ever. But about 2 or 3 years ago, right in my living room, I'm pointing to, you can't see it, but right in my living room on the couch, I finally, this again is 2 or 3 years ago. So we're talking about upwards of 30 plus years. I sat on my couch and I was going through a healing season, and I cried like a baby about the death of my mother.
Wow.
And I think, so I say all that to say, and I share that story to lead up to this point, because of a lot of suppressing and not getting healing, I didn't always know how to be a mom. I thought that I had to do everything. First of all, I acted out of a place of fear. So I spent a
Mhm.
lot of years in fear, like, oh my gosh, am I going to be taken from my kids? Will my kids be taken from me? Et cetera, et cetera. And then it came a time where I was finally, God had actually given me a word. He said, no, they have something to do. I blessed you double for your trouble.
Right.
He
Right.
didn't
Right.
say it
Right.
like that, of course, but that was the premise. I blessed you double for your trouble. And then of course I had no idea Naomi was gonna show up. So I got triple, right?
Right.
But but at the time, God had to tell me that so that I knew you don't have to worry about losing your children. You don't have to worry about you dying or them dying. I got y'all. I
Right.
got y'all. Um, but I, because of the loss of my mom, I spent a lot of time trying to do everything and fast forward.
Right.
I was taking them to get their
What do
nails
you
done
mean
all
by
the
that?
time. I
Yeah.
was trying to do everything um, so that I wouldn't miss anything. So sometimes doing too much, oftentimes doing too much. I mean, they
Yeah.
were
Yeah.
already 4 and 5 years old going to the nail salon, getting manicures, getting pedicures. I was
Mm.
acting from a place of trauma. This was my trauma response.
Mm.
Um, always doing their hair, getting their hair done, going to get it, like stuff adults would do. I don't even do it now, but stuff adults would do. Like I wanted them to experience the mommy daughter way. And not to say that they shouldn't experience it, but I was moving too fast. It's like I didn't have an opportunity.
Right.
I
Right.
felt like I didn't have an opportunity to really enjoy motherhood.
I
Um,
feel you. I feel
you
you.
know, but where it was a positive, where there was, if there was any positivity that came out of it though, is I've always made sure that I'm there. I'm always present. That part I can say without a shadow of a doubt. I'm always present. 99% of the time, unless something's wrong, like I'm sick, I'm at every game, I'm at every event, I'm at every recital. I'm buying shirts with names on it so everybody knows those are my kids.
Right. Right.
When
Right.
they went to lacrosse, I was at every practice, pregnant with Naomi, and she was ginormous in my belly. But I spent a lot of time, both positively and negatively, trying to control my situation and control everything as a mom, when you really don't have control. You just need to pray for guidance. If I
Right.
could say anything, praying for guidance is super duper important. And I know
I
that
can
was a
attest to
long,
that.
long answer. Sorry.
No, no. I mean, this is your interview, but I just want to echo that. I can attest to that because when I got dumped into single parenthood, I had no idea, not the remotest of a clue of what to do. But I prayed a lot, and I just said, God, I don't know what to do with all of these kids. I need you to take over, and you know, it's just I didn't even ask him to show me the way. I asked him to do it, and he did.
I love
So
that. And you know what? It's funny you say that because I remember you saying that to me. So every time I'm going through a hard time, I keep saying, okay, Dad said he prayed for us every day. That's what I need to do. I need to keep praying.
every day.
Pray, pray, pray. Because when they're little, you have a lot of influence. But when they get bigger, it's your influence against the world. So the reason why God says, train up a child in the way he or she should go, and when they are older, they will not depart from it, is because you at some point start to lose a lot of that influence. But if you started when they were young, they will not depart from it. And
Right,
even if they do, if they have that prodigal son or daughter experience, they'll come back because they
right,
know the
right,
foundation. Foundationally, they know I'm Jesus's child. I'm God's child. Jesus
right,
died for my sins. This Bible is meant to be the basic instructions before leaving the earth, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that's very important because even when I wasn't doing a great job, Constance would come up to me and say, Mommy, I'm reading the Bible, or I've been reading the Bible all week, and this is what I learned. And I'm like, thank God, because I'm over here trying to get some healing and feeling depressed and everything. And she's telling me she's reading the word. So
right.
God is still working through her, even in my downfall. So I'm grateful to Christ. I give it all to him.
Me too. And that's the same thing you did for me, you and your brother. You know, and it's not Father's Day. We'll deal with that next month. But
I'll
I
interview
just want to
you.
say that uh, your brother, who is like my best friend, man, and
Mhm.
he gave me such a hard time coming up. you know,
Yes,
so
he
but
did.
it's and I want to say one more thing on that note that
Mhm.
you brought up, the train up a child. Most people think that, well, if I train up a child in the way he or she should grow, then everything's going to be cool. But that's not the case.
It's
What
not.
the word says is train up a child in the way he or she should go. And when they get old, they won't
Yes.
depart from it. In other words,
Yes.
once you get to the place of maturity where you're able to think and do things on your own, the foundation that was laid by your parents
Hmm.
resurfaces. When they get
Yes.
old,
Yes.
the children, they will not depart from it. And that's where we
Amen.
got to take our solace. Even if they go astray in the interim, like I
Yep.
did for many years, I would say 15
I
years,
did too.
alcoholism and all of that. When you get old, you're going to revert back, as you indicated, revert back to the
Yes.
teachings your parents established. So go ahead.
Yes. And
Sorry.
that's true. Even through me, Dad, I had a rebellious period as well, and I went astray, but now I'm a minister. So it didn't
Right.
go to waste,
Right.
it's like it didn't go to waste. So I'm just grateful that God takes care of us even when we're not taking care of ourselves. God answers prayers that we prayed maybe 3, 4, 5, 10 years ago. He answers prayers. Like I used to think when I was in my rebellious period that God wouldn't allow me to have children. So I would literally, after doing something I have no business doing, I would be like, God, please don't punish me by not allowing me to have children. Please don't punish
Wow.
me by not allowing me to. And I would say it every single time. And that just goes to show you God will love you through anything. And he will,
Absolutely.
and not that he's going to just allow you to get away with murder.
Right.
There will be some consequences for your
Right.
actions. But I'm just so grateful that even as I was living in my sin, even as I was taking that prodigal daughter route, he was still answering my prayer. He's still, my first child, as you know, I didn't even know if I was going to be able to have her. I was high risk. I was on the verge of a carriage because of a blood clot. And then each pregnancy after was high risk. So I'm just so grateful. Even when they drive me crazy, I'm so
I
grateful.
know. Me too. And y'all definitely had your times of driving me crazy.
Yes, I know it. I know there are times I could think of already.
Yeah. And
Immediately come
you
to
had to
mind.
say things to me that really were reserved for a mom. But
Mm,
since I was it, you had to say things to me. And I think I shared this with you in the past that
yes.
were like make me like cringe on the inside. But outside, I was like, oh, really? Is that what happened? That's what you
Yes,
did? Okay.
yes, yep. And you were so good too, because I would literally be like, "All right, Dad, I have to talk to you," and just spill my guts. Like, I'm grateful, even though I know this is a Mother's Day program, like you said, and I'll definitely say this again for the Father's Day program. But I'm grateful that you stood in the gap as a mom and a dad, because that's what I needed. I needed to have a dad that could listen with non-judgmental ears and could just, not give me critical advice, but could still be honest with me. And you were very honest. You're like, I mean, I'll never forget certain sayings where you would say stuff like, don't get mad, get even, and in order to get even, get better.
Right.
Don't put a period where God put a
That's
comma.
right.
um don't ever let them see you sweat. It's like things like this I've said to my own children.
I got another one.
Okay.
Another one of your favorites that I used to say all the time, which is
Okay.
doggone it. It just escaped me. I'm old.
I probably will
I'll get it.
remember.
Give me a second.
Okay.
A wise man, a
Learn,
smart
yes.
man.
Learns from his own mistakes. A smart man learns from his own mistakes, but a wise man learns from someone else's. That one is actually my favorite, and I usually say
Yeah.
that one first. I'm so glad that you said that, because I say it to everybody, not just my kids. I'm like I've even put it on my profile at work, and someone reached out to me and said, I really like that. And I
Wow.
was like, thank you. My dad told me that.
Wow. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I'm not
Yep.
the originator of it, but nonetheless, I've
It's
shared it
okay.
far and wide with you and your siblings, and
Yes.
you
Yes.
know. And I have to
Yep.
say, before we carry on, that you and your brother have grown up to be people of whom I am very proud. And you're both my
Thank
very
you.
best friends, my most
Thank you.
treasured and cherished friendships are you and your brother. And nothing against my other children. I love them
Right,
all
right. Of course.
to no end. But
Hmm.
you and Keita are very special to me. I guess you're like Jacob's children from his deceased wife. And your mom, when she's speaking of deceased wife, when your
Hmm.
mom passed away, she was much younger than you are now. I think she
Yes.
was
In our
34 years old.
30s.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
So she would be very proud of y'all today.
Thank you. I think about her a lot, especially now. I'm like, what would mom do? Well, how would she have handled this? Like what would she have said? And then of course when I had the girls, I was like, man, mom used to be a neonatal nurse. She would have been great with the girls. She would have been able to tell me all this stuff. And when I got married, I would have loved for her to have. It was, you experienced the loss, but for me, there was a lot of suppression, but now I'm able to accept it, and just live in the fact that God didn't take that from me.
Right.
I'm a mom and I get to do this, but I get to do it slowly. I don't have to keep doing what I was doing, moving too quickly and
I'm so
trying to,
glad.
yeah, because it's not good. It's not good. And unfortunately, and one thing that I think is so important, not that you asked, but
I don't
I
need to ask.
say I say to single people, and I'll bring this to being a mom as well in just a second, but I say to single people that it's important to heal from your trauma before you go into a relationship. Well, it's the same for parents. It's important to heal. Like, we have children like it's nothing. Whether you decide to have children before you marry or after you marry, we have children like it's nothing, but we don't realize you are raising a whole person
Right.
to really deal with your trauma, because they're dealing with the trauma you and not the healed you. So when you're a mother or even a father, if you're like me and you haven't dealt with your trauma, you begin to raise your children with a trauma response. So again, that fast forwarding life for them. And then there were things that I didn't know about being a mom. So I would fuss at them and carry on. I didn't know. I still don't know. I'm still learning how to kind of temper myself.
Right.
So that's why, again, going back to what I said earlier, you do have to affirm yourself as a mom at times and just say, you know what, even with everything I've been through, I'm still a good mom. And for
Yes.
me, it's I'm a good mom with Christ on my side because I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me.
Hallelujah.
So, yeah.
Amen. And I hate to put it this way, but it's true. Sometimes the trauma makes
Mhm.
us better.
Yes. Yes, it does.
You
Yes,
know.
and that's a hard pill to swallow because
Yeah.
the trauma definitely makes you better because then you realize, okay, in order to raise these children, if I haven't already been healed of this trauma, in order to raise them, I'm gonna have to figure out how to do this with my trauma and try to heal from it. You know, it
Right.
with my kids, I started to see things in them that reminded me of those negative aspects of me, like catching an attitude, which I know kids often do anyway. But I remember sometimes I look at my oldest, and when she gets an attitude, I'm like, oh my gosh, that child looks just like me or sounds like me. And I used to do it to you.
Yeah, you were a trip.
I was. And remember when you used to say, when I was 16, I would look at you like you were the dumbest person in the world?
Yeah.
Yeah, they do that. All of them do it. Well,
Yeah.
Naomi,
Yeah.
not so much, not the youngest, but yeah, Trinity and Constance, they do it to me all the time. And I'm like, dang, Dad was right. Good
And
Lord.
listen, I'm telling this is true, and I'm gonna like to be transparent here.
Mhm.
There were times when you were having like your monthly challenges, if you know what I mean,
Yes,
that I
yes.
would steer clear of you.
Yup, it's PMS time.
And I could
PMS
tell
time.
first thing in the morning, like I would say something like, "Good morning, app," and you would look at me like, "Well, what's so good
What do you mean?
about it?"
Right.
And I'd be like, "Okay, I'm gonna go back to my room, and why don't I stay there for a while?" you know?
That's so crazy. And I don't, it's like when you're a child, you kind of just live in the moment. You never
Yes,
think you're going to grow up and have a kid like you. And
right.
I have three, and they're all girls, which
And they
makes it
all
even
like you
worse
in
because I'm
different
like, oh
ways.
my gosh, I'm dealing
Yeah,
with
yeah,
myself. And they're all different parts of me. That's the craziest part. Like, I could go on and on and on about who's like me in this area, that area. But while I love it, there are parts of them where I'm like, dang, I wish I could remove it, but I know they got it from me. So now I have to help them like get out of their own way,
right,
because having an attitude or being stubborn or being overly emotional about something or whatever it is, I have to try to help them to do that. And I'm still learning a lot of that stuff. Like with insecurities, how do I tell my child, and this is especially for moms, how do you tell your child to feel good about themselves? And this is what I'm learning. And you won't say anything great about yourself. Like, I can talk about the great things I do in my career and all that. That's the easy stuff. But one of my children said, Mommy, I wish you would stop calling yourself fat. And that was so profound because I've always said, now, mind you, I'm not fat. I'm not.
not at
But,
all. I'm shocked
but,
to hear you say that.
but I grew up super skinny. So I see myself as, I see me now as someone that's kind of getting old and I'm not the softball player anymore. I don't play sports. I don't do this, da 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 da. So when I look at this, I'm like, oh my gosh, look at these fat arms. But I say it out loud to my kids, moms, don't do that. I'm telling you from experience, do not do that. If you feel insecure about something, work out your insecurities with yourself in your room, close the door, whatever. And don't tell yourself you're fat. Work out your
Right.
insecurities by saying, you know what, I may not be the size I want to be right now, but I'm beautiful.
That's
And my
awesome
children are
advice.
going to know they are. I had to learn. And one of my children, my oldest, she had to say that. And she's like my size when I was a kid, like super small. All of them are. But I'm the one. I'm fat. Look at, oh my gosh, I need to lose this. So now I'm learning, don't do that because your kids are internalizing this and now they have
Absolutely.
insecurities and they ain't got no issues. So
Absolutely.
yeah, please
And
don't do that.
on that note, we're gonna close the program. I
Yes.
hate closing it. I so was into this, and I'm sure others will be as well. Man, is phenomenal.
I love it.
And not just that you're my very own flesh and blood, but that you're an intelligent young woman,
Thank you.
and you know, you articulate the things you went through very well, and it's just
Praise
phenomenal.
God. Praise
So
God.
we're actually over time, but I want to give you an opportunity to say any closing words you might have.
To be the best mom you can be is to recognize that you're never going to be perfect, that your kids will be rebellious. There will be other influences trying to influence your children. You're always fighting against the world, but God.
But
But
God,
God. If you
Amen.
lean on him, you will absolutely get through this, and you should absolutely give yourself a hand clap. Even when the day is over and everything looks crappy, I did all right. Everybody's alive. Everybody ate. Everybody took a bath or a shower.
That's important.
Everybody's good. I at least did the bare necessities. We might be
Absolutely.
fussing and carrying on. They might not like me. I might not like them today, but we all love each other. And
That's
God is
right.
good.
All the time.
Amen.
And one day they'll be like you. They'll be like a peer instead of a child.
Yes. And then I'll
Uh,
get to say, your child's doing that because you did it to me. I can't
right.
wait for that. I can't wait.
I love you,
I
man. This
love
was
you too,
great.
Nipsey.
And I love all you moms. We honor you this month.
Yes.
There's still a few more days left in the month. Go ahead and reach out to your moms or mother type figures in your life
Yes.
and tell them what's up. So
Yes.
we're gonna say so long. I just want to make a couple of quick announcements. Thank you so much for doing this. We'll see you next month
Thank you for
for
having
Father's Day.
me.
You'll get a chance
Yes.
to interview. I think I'm gonna put a panel together for that.
I'm
So
looking
we look
forward to
forward
it.
to that. Mwah.
Mwah. Happy
We
Mother's
love
Day.
you.
Happy Mother's Month to all of the moms and
Happy
the
Mother's Month.
God bless you.
God bless you. Now, folks, before we get off, I want to turn you on to this coming Wednesday, May 28th at 7 p.m. We're having part 2 of our biblical reality program, which involves are the Jews God's chosen people. So we would like you to tune into that. And finally, I want to mention to you this program, play rather, that I'm hosting. It's called Then Came You. It's an awesome program. And it's about a mom's trauma and how it carries on and impacts her in her adult life. It's a phenomenal play. It's been sold out for this season, but there's another season upcoming, and the information on how to find out what's up is on the screen there. lmdassociates@yahoo.com. If you send them an email, you will be up to date. You want to see this play. It's truly phenomenal. It was written, directed by a great friend of mine, and I'm serving as the MC. And it's worth the viewing. Okay, we look forward to seeing you next time in June. We're gonna honor Father's Day and fathers, and we're gonna do a lot more. Until then, God bless you and keep you, and may you have peace in your lives. And that's what we end with on that note. Bless you again. Peace.